The biggest need for the Indianapolis Colts this offseason: pass rush, pass rush, pass rush. Let's get to it.
You are Locked On Colts, your daily Indianapolis Colts podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Colts podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the number one sports podcast network around. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The Wild Card Round is here, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. Hello, everyone. My name is Zach Hicks, your resident film nerd of HorseshoeHuddle.com, and I'm joined, as always, by Jake Arthur, the boots on the ground over at Round Table Sports. Today, we are diving into the Colts' biggest offseason needs, an offseason that we think is going to be filled with a lot of changes on the defensive side of the football for the Indianapolis Colts. So we're going to dive into the biggest need to kick off today's show, then look at that linebacker position, how the Colts desperately need to do something with that group, and then talk about some minor needs across the roster that could also come into play. But Jake, I think you and I and probably most Colts fans are going to be in agreement this offseason. The Colts need to drastically change that defensive line room, especially with DeForest Buckner's status up in the air going forward, coming off that neck surgery that he had right before the end of the season. So as of right now, just looking at the Colts defensive line room going into the offseason, right? The only notable defensive ends they have under contract are Leatu Latu and JT Tuimoloau. You could say Darrell and Chami's kind of notable. He's notable in our hearts, Jake.
Upcoming star,
Yeah, upcoming star, obviously. But that's about it at defensive end. You look at defensive tackle, DeForest Buckner, who, again, his status is up in the air going forward, Grover Stewart, and Adetomiwa Adebawore. That's it for notable guys. Like, yes, you can throw in the Tim Smiths are technically under contract. Valami Fehoko Jr. is under contract defensive end. But that's it. There's not really many guys there that are coming back or set to come back for this Colts team up front. So I think we're going to see some massive, massive changes in the trenches on the defensive side of the football.
Yeah, they have to. Like, if we're going to go ahead and say that this is a multi-year defensive rebuild under Louis Anarumo, knock on wood that he doesn't get one of these head coaching jobs, they got some foundation laid for the 2025 season. There's some guys in there, just in the defense in general, not necessarily the defensive line, that you can start fortifying the roster around. But defensive line really kind of lacks that because we don't know what JT Tuimoloau is yet. So far, he could just be like a really nice player. He could just be that Sam Hubbard type of guy that Anarumo had in Cincinnati, which is not quite good enough because Hubbard was never like a dude in Cincinnati, So you like Leatu Latu, like he's obviously a starter, but you have to keep feeding the beast around them. And there is no limit to the amount of defensive line you can have. Like, look at Philadelphia a couple years ago. Like, that powered them throughout the playoffs, and they made a Patrick Mahomes Chiefs offense look like the worst thing we've ever seen in a Super Bowl, basically. So yeah, like the defensive line is still very much under construction on the edges and on the inside. Because, you mentioned the interior guys. Buckner, 32 years old, coming off of a serious neck injury that put him on IR twice. Grover Stewart, still playing at a high level, but 32 years old. And then Adetomiwa, that's a guy you keep around. He showed plenty of flash. He's still a young guy, a lot of athleticism, but we're going to go ahead and assume he is just like a nice spark plug, rotational player, kind of at the highest end. And Tim Smith was drafted to kind of be the backup to Grover, but was on the practice squad all year. So there's just not a ton there. And, you have Kwity Paye going out the door, Samson Ebukam, Tyquan Lewis. For my money, they're probably going to bring back Tyquan. He's like a career Colt. But what did that get you really these last couple of years? They probably let Ebukam go. They have to let Kwity Paye go because for what money he's going to get on the open market, the Colts would be foolish to be the ones to pay that.
Did you see Spotrac's projection for him? I know Spotrac's projections are just
all over the place.
complete guesses, but they had him at $17 million per year. Look, I was laughing at Dio Dangbo's contract because I was like, how do you pay Dio Dangbo that? If Kwity Paye got $17 million a year in the open market, then you never can sign an edge rusher again, because what's Trey Hendrickson's going to get $70 million a year if Kwity Paye is getting 17.
And Quity's been a starter for 5 years, so it's not incredibly fun. Yeah,
you have tape
right.
on him.
He's not productive, but he's been a starter. So like NFL teams have done crazier things. But
I don't know.
Among the free agents, I would bring back. Well, I'd be fine with them bringing back Tyquan, and you bring back Neville Gallimore. But outside of that, you try and do everything possible to focus on your defensive front this year.
Yeah, I think really what I like about this, at least, is we saw last year at the defensive line room, it just wasn't good enough. Now, credit to Lou Anarumo, they were able to get some pressure last year. I think they were like top 10 in like pressures or something like that this year. Now, a lot of that's because early in the season, teams were throwing the ball so much against them because the Colts had big leads. But still, they were like top 10 in pressures. And it was because Lou was bringing these exotic blitzes. He was bringing these 5-man rushes and getting the linebackers involved, running a lot of stunts and games up front. But they really struggled as a true 4-man unit, straight up rushing, winning one-on-ones. Outside DeForest Buckner and then the occasional wins from Leatu Latu and Adetomiwa Adebawore, they really couldn't do that as a defensive line. But what I like about this is we don't have this team straddled with bad contracts at that position. Like, again, if DeForest Buckner retires or something, then yeah, you are straddled with the rest of that contract. But aside from that, it's not like, oh, Kwity Paye, we can't really cut him. We have to bring him back for 3 more years. Samson Ebukam, we can't cut him. We have to bring him back for multiple years. Like, there is this opportunity to reset up front. And also the D-line coach is leaving as well. So it's like a true reset, and you're only really bringing back the guys that you would want to bring back anyway, you know, in the Grover Stewarts and the Adetomiwas and in the Leatu Latus. So it's a way to just kind of fill out the rest of that room around those guys that you already view as highly enough, and just getting other quality players in there. And it looks to be a pretty decent free agent group when it comes to pass rushers. I'm not saying it's like, you know, otherworldly, but you know, the name that's going to be linked to the Colts all offseason, Trey Hendrickson. Lou Anarumo has that close relationship with players that he's coached before. If the Colts are able to move a lot of money around this offseason, which they certainly can do, then I think that logically makes sense for both sides, especially in this must-win, heightened sense of urgency season the Colts are going into. I think that can make a ton of sense. But even after that, there's guys coming off off their rookie deals that can make sense, like Boy Mafe, Arnold Ipikide down in Atlanta. Those guys can make sense. Even other Bengals players like Joseph Osai or whatever, a guy that the Colts were interested last offseason, went back to the Bengals on a 1-year contract, put up another 5-sack season for them. He couldn't be a guy that makes a lot of sense as like a rotational guy here. So Lou Anarumo, Chris Ballard, they have a chance to really reset this defensive line room, get some new faces in there, and make it more of the D-line room that can win on true pass rushing situations. I will say, though, I do agree with you. Bring back Neville Gallimore. I fell in love with his play this season. Absolute Energizer bunny off the bench. Had a lot of fun watching his film. I think he's a good player to bring back, and he wouldn't cost you like a 1-year, like $2 million contract. You know, like get him back here for that for sure. He's good quality depth on the interior.
For sure. And so let me throw this at you. What kind of players are you looking for? Like good players, regardless. That's duh. But
I want the good ones.
Right. Schematically, like, did the guys they have fit, Lou? And we know they were somewhat productive from a pass rush perspective. Somewhat. Not consistent enough for any of us who watched with our eyes all year, but statistically, they were fine. But they did not win quickly whatsoever. So do you get like quick twitch guys? Do you get guys with like a good toolbox coming out of the draft? Like, what do you look for there?
Yeah, so I think because they have just, again, they have so many spaces available that you can kind of mix and match a little bit. Because when you look at like what the base down stuff looks like for Lou Anarumo, your early down guys can't really be these like skinny, bad run defending pass rushers because they run nickel so much and they run nickel and dime so much. If you're already going to have fewer linebackers on the field for more defensive backs, you can't have these skinny defensive ends that can't set the edge as well. That's just going to leave you super vulnerable against the run. So that's why we saw like a JT Tuimoloau come in here. That's why we saw like Leatu Latu get more snaps over like an Ebukam on the outside in a lot of situations, because Latu's a little bit bigger, a little bit bulkier there. So I think, you know, if you're going to have a guy who's going to play like those 60, 65% snaps, you want more of that bulk, that 260, 270-ish type guy on the edge. But I do think they need a speed rusher, right? Latu wants to be a speed rusher, but he's really not a speed rusher. You need like a quick guy, and I know this guy's not a free agent, but like the Will McDonald type of guy, like that guy who can win with speed and bend on the outside. So I think if they can go like the route of, again, say they get like a Trey Hendrickson, a bigger, bulkier guy who can play like 60, 65% of the snaps to start, and then you go get a Joseph Osai. I know I'm just picking Bengals players here, who's a little bit like more of a speed rusher with his speed and his finesse and just quickness with his hands. I think that kind of pairing makes the most sense for the Colts, and have that speed rusher be more of like a 40% snap guy, not your every down type guy. So I think these guys were fine size-wise for the Colts. They just didn't have the juice to win one-on-one or the juice to really win much when it mattered. So that's just the key, is just getting that talent upgrade up front.
Well, guys, more bad news, because the players who line up directly behind the defensive line, that needs a facelift as well. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. Hey, guys, the draft picks position are set, not for the Colts. Does not matter. They're not picking until about 47. But so many teams are looking for their franchise quarterback, it seems. If you ever wished to become a pro quarterback yourself in your daydreams, getting drafted first overall by the Colts, well, now you can, kind of. There's a mobile game just for you called Ultimate QB Football Legend. In this game, you step into the cleats of a number one draft pick quarterback, and it's your job to lead the team to greatness, to help turn a failing franchise into a dynasty. This is the number one quarterback career mode game on the mobile app stores, and it introduces the most realistic environment with full career control. Sign contracts, train and upgrade yourself, build chemistry and evolve your teammates, give input to your GM and roster moves, play the actual games in 2D, and rise through the ranks to become a pro football legend. You'll deal with the ups and downs of a quarterback's career, from rookie nerves to playoff drama, and every choice that shapes your journey. Ultimate QB is totally free to play, has no ads, and it works 100% offline. Perfect for when you want to sneak in a quick game or two on the go. I am probably just going to be burning through this game on my flights down to Mobile later this month. Again, it's totally offline. It's free. It is a traveler's dream when it comes to a mobile game. So just head over to ultimate-qb.com. That's ultimate-qb.com, or search for Ultimate QB in your app store. And we've got something special just for you guys. Use the promo code LOCKEDON in all caps in the game store to get a free boost at the start of your career. Ultimate QB Football Legend QB1. It's your legacy.
And guys, finding a doctor you actually like can feel like discovering a diamond in the rough. You want someone in-network, nearby, with availability, but you also want a doctor who really listens, makes you feel comfortable, explains things clearly, and helps you walk out feeling confident about your next step. Your diamond in the rough doctor exists, and finding them is easy with ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a free app and website that helps you find and book high quality in-network doctors, so you can choose someone that you can truly connect with. I love that you can just search for the specialty or symptoms and quickly find that right fit. Being able to choose in-person or video visits makes scheduling just way easier, and you can even check the verified patient reviews to get a real sense of the doctor's vibe, communication style, and what really works for you as a patient. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments. Go to ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL to find and instantly book a doctor that you love today. That's ZocDoc, ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL, ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL. Thanks to ZocDoc for sponsoring this message. Alrighty, Locked On Colts everydayers. Before we get back to our conversation, I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Colts your first listen today and every day. And thank you for making Locked On Colts the number one sports podcast network. If you haven't already, make sure you're checking out our new everydayer clubs. You can catch them. You can catch our audio ad-free and get an invite to a members-only Locked On Everydayer Club Discord server, which includes a group chat just for listeners of our shows. Go to lockedoncolts.supercast.com to join or even gift a subscription. And we are back talking about another major position of need, a position of need that Jake has kept texting me about for the last year now. We keep making jokes about it because Jake was so concerned about it going into last season. And I can only imagine the concern level has risen quite a bit here, Jake, because one of the guys we thought could be the answer, Jalen Carlisle, just had a season from hell, like an absolute season from hell, barely touched the field. And when he did, he clearly fell out of good graces with the defensive coaching staff. So I don't really see him as much a factor going forward. Other players they currently have under contract include Zaire Franklin, everybody's favorite linebacker and favorite podcaster out there in the indie media market. Austin Ajike, who just got that shiny new 1-year extension. And then John Bullock and Joseph Vaughn. If you guys know who they are, let me know. Free agents right now, Jermaine Pratt, Shegu Alubi, and Jacob Phillips. Now, again, there's a lot that could change here. Like we could see a move with the Zaire Franklin contract. We could see Jermaine Pratt resigned or retained in some capacity. So there are some moving parts, but I think we can both agree, Jake, that even if they re-sign Jermaine Pratt, even if for some reason they also bring back Zaire Franklin, they still need more in this linebacker room. And this is a drum that you've been banging for, again, a good like calendar year at this point.
Yeah, it was very obvious to see. So like going into last year, they were going into the offseason, they were kind of shorthanded and really lacked depth. It was like Zaire Franklin and Jalen Carlisle was really all they had going for them. And we did ask them about linebackers, specifically Chris Ballard, pretty frequently. And, he said Zaire Franklin is Zaire Franklin, so we're good there. And then Jalen Carlisle, we really like what he's going to do. And, essentially he's your will linebacker for this year. Well, both Zaire and Jalen Carlisle missed the entirety of the offseason program recovering from surgeries. Carlisle was ready to hit the ground running when training camp came around. But like he was rotating in with the ones for a couple days, and then got demoted to the 2s and 3s and special teams. And then the next day he wasn't out there for like 3 months. So he's essentially in 2 years, he's essentially played half of a season, apparently fit the previous scheme much better than this one, because the guy who they invested so much of their time in, they assumed he was going to be the will linebacker all year, was a ghost essentially. And there was a revolving door at will linebacker next to Zaire Franklin, who happened to have arguably the worst season of his career as a starter. So it became a worse issue really than we thought it was going to. So offenses, I don't know if it's by design. You could speak better to this than me. If offenses are going to look at this defense and just by design on a normal week-to-week basis, attack it over the middle with end-breaking stuff, with yard after catch opportunities, then what they have will not cut it. And that's including Jermaine Pratt, who played better than Zaire Franklin this year. They need more new age linebackers. Like this is where you really, really saw them miss Hunter Wooler this year. Because I think especially when they figured out they had no linebackers at all, Hunter Wooler would have played a ton of snaps.
Yeah.
Hunter Wooler, who even still I saw him Monday, is in a boot. And like, mind you, he got hurt in August. So this is another group where they're going to have to add like 2 or 3 legitimate players, not just Joseph Vaughn and John Bullock. Like it cannot be just guys like that. I understand future deals players fill out your roster for the offseason, but like they need real actual players who could start. They need to add like 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah.
And that's not including if they don't do something with Zaire Franklin this offseason. So they've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, and just for clarification on Hunter Wooler, I believe his injury was the Liz Frank injury.
Yeah.
Pretty tough injury to come back from, but like, it is still something that guys can come back from, but it does take a long time to recover. That's why they were quick to put him on that IR when it happened. So Hunter Wooler, I do think would have played a factor, and hopefully he factors in this next season as well as more of like a dime linebacker. But yeah, they need just more speed, more aggressiveness, and just when you say like new age, like just the ability to like understand and diagnose like routes behind them and where routes are going, knowing how to get to the right zone depth. I think of like players who have been available in recent years, like Zach Bond. Obviously, nobody knew what Zach Bond was going to be when he got to Philly, but that was an opportunity out there. Divine Diablo was a guy that we were pounding the table for the last 2 off seasons. I know I was, as a Virginia Tech guy. I knew
That's your guy.
I know Divine Diablo was a guy that I really wanted, and he goes to Atlanta this year and has an incredible season. You even look at a guy like Jordan Brooks a couple years ago, who I was like, look, let's get Jordan Brooks in here. Like he could really fit that mold of what they need. Just a guy who, again, can just excel in the coverage aspect of this. And he's a fringe all-pro this year with the Miami Dolphins. So I think there is there's always a way to find linebackers, right? These linebackers that hit the market every year, like I just mentioned, the Brooks, the Diablos, the Zach Bonds, those were pretty feasible contracts on the open market for any team. And those guys have come in and played at like all pro levels for their respective teams. So it's not about oh, it's hard to find linebacker. Like, just get guys in here that you think can fit your system, and we can see these guys flourish here. And then also, I think they do need to take another one in the draft. With they only have 5 picks as of right now. They're going to end up having around 8 to 9 picks once they make some trades and they get their 2 comp picks. 1 to 2 of those, I think, need to be linebackers to get in here and just add more speed, add more youth, add more, again, this new age style of play to the position, and really just have Lou be like a heavy impact guy on, like Lou and Betchard be like, hey, this is the linebacker that fits what we want to do. Let's get him in here. We trust, this guy's ability to be an impact player for us in year 1. So if you do that and you grab, a bottom end, middle end, whatever linebacker in free agency, plus you get Wohler back, I think you can quickly turn around this linebacker room. But the last thing they can do is just run it back with just Franklin and Jermaine Pratt, and then have linebacker 3 be Jalen Cartlice, because that just that's not going to be feasible next year, especially if an injury happens. You're going to be back with Austin Ajake playing 200 snaps on defense, which just can't happen. We can't have more Joe Bocci's and Chad Mumas and Austin Ajake. That was just a mess from the beginning of the season, and it was so predictable. Like, they need to at least throw more bodies at this solution, more bodies that aren't just, again, the Bocci's, the McGrones, the Chad Mumas. Like, it has to be like notable investments, whether in the draft or in free agency, to fix that linebacker position that has kind of been a mess since Okereke and Shaq Leonard left/lost his back basically early in the 2020s. But yeah, it just needs to have that change at linebacker.
The fact that they missed out on Carson Schwessinger really makes me want to go get hit by a car, because seeing what he did with the Browns would have been phenomenal and such a difference maker for that defense. Now, that was out of their hands because he got taken at the very top of the second, but that's the type of guy I'm talking about that they really need. And no regrets for them getting Tyler Warren, but like, you see Jahad Campbell go out and made an immediate impact for the Eagles. So I'm going to do more research, because I'm putting out a piece on Roundtable Sports coming up about the needs, and I'm going to expand on this. But I'm going to go look at like what is considered probably like the top 10 or so linebackers in the league. I'm going to take a wild guess that they were almost all acquired on day 2 or 3. Linebacker is a position you do not have to spend premium picks on, really. Like, these guys, you can find them. You just have to identify them and pull the trigger. And even like Bobby Okereke was a 3rd rounder for the Colts. So I just really want to see them invest day 2 capital on really athletic, smart guys. Because like, if you can hit on a guy like Schwessinger, or, Campbell kind of slid down the board a little bit, but like, if you can hit on guys like that, such a difference maker for that defense, because they were void of playmaking talent in the middle of the field during the season. And it was clearly evident. Like, they had a lot of takeaways this year. They ranked high up there for most of the year, and that was without their linebackers really contributing to that at all.
Or their strong safety. It was really just their
right.
deep free safety who got all their takeaways this year. But yeah, I mean, heck, one thing we won't disagree on, and probably for a future video, is they need more out of their next draft class at whatever position they take. It can't just be Tyler Warren and then a 4th round tackle that plays for 1 month looking pretty good out of your entire draft class. But that's a conversation for another day. Coming up, we're going to talk about a couple other positions that could make sense for the Colts to address and could low-key be some needs for this team this offseason.
The wild card round is here, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game day during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. Because right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. So here's how it works. Each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts that you can apply to bets that you like the most. Open your profit boost pack first thing on game day and see what boosts you want to apply. The boosts let you lean into your game day instincts, whether you're backing momentum, defense, quarterback play, coaching, whatever. The boosts give you more juice on the bets that you already like instead of forcing you to bet something new. You make the picks, then apply your profit boost to go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs get rolling. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. All right, welcome back, everydayers. We are breaking down the Colts' most critical needs that they need to address this offseason. Some of them were needs, whether you resign some of your guys or not, but some of them have just been based on the fact that there's going to be an exodus of in-house free agents happening. And so we talked about the defensive line, we talked about linebacker, but there are some more modest needs on this roster that, if addressed, could make a big difference. So we're going to go kind of rapid fire on these real quick. So first and foremost, Zach, they need more ammo this offseason. They've got about $45 million in projected cap space as of, the last 24 hours on Over the Cap. Over the Cap now says $33 million. We don't really know where that $12 million difference is coming from, so we're going to say 45.
They had to pay our salaries, Jake. That's what it was to be our champions for the organization. That's what it was.
Very much so. So you're going to wipe out most of that. Look at the package deal of Daniel Jones and Alec Pierce, we presume, as long as the Colts are wise and don't let Pierce get inserted into some sort of bidding war. So you're going to need more cap space. We talked a lot about that yesterday with the contracts that they need to adjust or just eliminate to create more space. And then draft capital. Now, these are all projected picks because the draft order doesn't get finalized until comp picks are awarded and tiebreakers are applied like after the combine. But essentially, you're looking in the range. They have 7 picks, but not until round 2. Like 47, 78, 113, 154, 216, 230, and 253. They are projected to get a couple compensation picks from free agents that they didn't adequately replace last offseason. But again, they do have 7 draft picks projected, but they're not super valuable ones, and they're not on the board until midway through the second. So they need to find a way to get more draft capital by probably trading a couple guys away. And they need cap space by eliminating some contracts that are just a little bloated at this point.
Yeah, for sure. And one of those guys we talked about yesterday, Michael Pittman Jr., whether you trade or you cut him or whatever you do with that, if there's any capacity where Pittman Jr. is not back, I think wide receiver shoots up as a pretty prominent need for this Colts team. Yeah. I don't think it's as big a need as defensive line or linebacker still in that regard because, look, I trust Ashton Dulin getting a 50% snap share at wide receiver more so than I trust Austin Ajike starting at linebacker, so I think I'm fine more with receiver being behind linebacker in terms of needs, but I do think if they get rid of Pittman, there has to be some kind of replacement there. I think Dulin could be a perfectly fine one, but again, Jake, you and we have this conversation every offseason. It can't just be only Ashton Dulin, a guy who spent I think it was 2 stints on IR this year or 2 stints out of the lineup for a couple weeks at least this year. So he missed a good chunk of games. And I just wouldn't want to rely on that, So I think either in the draft, whether it's a 4th or a 5th round pick, but how much production you're going to get out of a rookie receiver. We saw Anthony Gould not really give anything to the Colts last 2 years when he was a 5th round pick. So maybe you go get like a veteran wide receiver for a pretty mundane deal to go out there and just fill some void for you. Maybe you're just in love with Laquan Treadwell at this point. He starts a couple games. I don't know. But I
think he's a free agent anyways.
Yeah. So receiver balloons up though for this team. Looking back at defense though, I think probably the most underrated need is going to be what happens at strong safety or just safety aside from Cameron Bynum. Do they re-sign Nick Cross? And if not, that's a big void there because Rodney Thomas is also a free agent this offseason. So potentially no Thomas, potentially no Nick Cross. Hunter Wohler, do you have him more safety, more linebacker? Or do you do a thing where like on early downs he plays safety and then you move him down to linebacker? Is he ready for that kind of role in year 2 coming off a major injury when he was a 7th round pick? I still think you need to address that depth in free agency. And then also when we're talking depth, offensive line depth, even if your plan going to next offseason is to start 4 of the same 5 offensive linemen and then put Travis there at right tackle, you're pretty thin across the board there. If you're like Dalton Tucker, I think all of us are kind of, even me who loved him the most, you're probably out on him at this point. Danny Pinter's a free agent. I don't think he really should adjust too many of your plans. And then your swing tackle as of right now is Blake Freeland coming off a major injury who wasn't very good before the major injury. So I think offensive line as always, is a position where, like, if you have 8 draft picks, you're probably spending 2 picks on offensive line, I think, every single class. So I think the offensive line is always going to be in everyone's mind. And to Chris Ballard's credit, he's probably one of the best offensive line drafting general managers in football. It seems like he doesn't miss many when it comes to that, but I think offensive line is a big part of this. Honestly, corner as well. We think Mooney Ward's going to retire. We like Wally, but he's coming off an ACL injury. Sauce Gardner's coming off a big calf injury that limited him this last part of the season. And then it's a bunch of guys nobody likes, on the on the roster there. So corner, I think, there's a lot of needs with this team right now, Jake. Like, the whole defense has needs, and then there's a couple on offense. And we're not even talking like at quarterback. Like, if for some reason they lose Daniel Jones to like the Vikings or something, or there's a Seahawks level of like new bidder coming in like it was with Sam Darnold last year, then the biggest need is obviously quarterback after that, because you don't have a quarterback. So
right.
There's a lot up in the air with this team right now. Like, we think guys like Jones and Pierce will be back, but depending on what happens with their free agency, it could change the whole dynamic of this thing.
Yeah. So at wide receiver, like you mentioned, you're looking at, we already talked about, like, Pittman isn't really cutting it as the top guy right now. And your top receivers would be Pittman and Doolin on the outside, with Josh Downs on the inside with Anthony Gould backing him up. That's not really appealing. That's because I think they need to add firepower this offseason. The O-line depth, of course, you're looking at just a bunch of guys. Tucker, to me, is probably fine, but like, he got hurt immediately when given a chance to play. So it's not like we got a real evaluation of him and his growth. And then, the secondary, Mooney, you're not sure about. Kenny, do they do anything with that contract? Jalen Jones, we don't think they like him enough for him to be back. So it's like, you're confident Sauce will be there. And it's like, is Mekhi Blackman the other starter? Justin Wally, he's going to be back. But again, the
Jonathan
ACL,
Edwards
like
learned how to play the football for once.
Jonathan Edwards, yeah.
Jonathan Edwards can be good if he knew where the football was. If he ever knew where the football was, I'm telling you guys, he could be good. I don't know if he knows where the football is when he's in coverage, which is terrifying.
Yeah. And then that's really about it. You could throw kicker in there just because Spencer Schrader, how long is he going to be out with that knee? And then, so do you go ahead and do you just make sure you have Blake Groupie along for the ride until you know what Schrader looks like next offseason? So I think it would be wise for them to carry a non-Schrader kicker for now until they know what's going on with Schrader's knee.
Yeah, I really think this team needs like last offseason, right, was our big, hey, we're bringing in these big free agents, we're being aggressive in free agency. They still only brought in like 6 outside faces in free agency, right? I think this free agent class, especially because now you know what Lou Anarumo wants, right, on defense, and he's going to be back. This is your must-win season, so just give him what he wants, right, and see what you can do. I think you need like 10 to 12 new faces in free agency on this team. They don't really have the money right now, so we'll see how they move that stuff around. But say you bring back Jones, you bring back Pierce, and you make your one big move like a Hendrickson. I still think you need a handful of like just guys to fill out the roster that can play football. It can't just be a bunch of your Joseph Vaughns and stuff. Joseph Vaughn, I hope you're a great player. Like, I'm not trying to cut dog on you on this show, but yeah, Joseph Vaughns and stuff filling out your roster and saying, oh, we like him a lot. We got him on waivers from the Buccaneers at the end of the season. This guy's going to be our linebacker 3. It's like, no, go get guys who know how to play on Sundays, So I think that's going to be the big thing. I really think they need to bring in a handful of like just new faces, new culture guys, new guys that can do some things. And like, even if you have a guy like Jason saying in the comments here, like Cam Mitchell looked better than any of us thought, just don't go into camp with him being cornerback 3 or 4. Let him be 6 or 7, and we can be, very happy about him regardless of what he does, But if he's going in there being like a high-end guy for you, then we're going to be in trouble, which has been the case so much in the past with this team. So I think they need some new faces. I think they need to make some cap space, and even if it's a bunch of like 1 or 2 year, like $4 million deals or whatever, 1 year, $2 million deals, like just get in new guys, buy low on some dudes and get them in here and see what they can do.
Yeah, without question. Like, it's fine if they're bargain bin guys, if it's a high volume of them, because you're likely to hit on a couple. And again, you just need new guys in here. Like that's what generates competition. Like being on the same depth chart with guys you've been on for 3-4 years doesn't create competition. You already know you're better than that guy. You already know the coaching staff favors you over that guy. They just need new dudes in there, like to get an opportunity to actually push other players. Like, they got to do something.
And think about it, Ballard's never been bad with the bargain bin guys. We always jokingly call him bargain bin Ballard, but he brought in Chris Reed was awesome for the Colts that one year. Neville Gallimore.
Chris Reed has been your guiding light for years.
I know, I can never forget him. But Neville Gallimore brought in this year. We all can agree Neville Gallimore was awesome this season, so like just bring me a bunch of those guys. Like if you make 6 Neville Gallimore level signings, even if like 3 of them stink, you get 3 quality players, like, and if they don't work out for you, just cut them, so I don't want to go too long on this episode with that, but I do think that there's an avenue for the Colts to make this roster more competitive and better, more so than just, hey, our aggressive free agency is 6 new faces, but 3 of them are paid very well. It's like, okay, cool, but bring in some more new faces to fill out this roster. But we're going to get out of here, guys. Thanks again, as always, for tuning in today to Locked On Colts. We'll be back tomorrow to continue breaking down this offseason. Make sure you guys subscribe and follow Locked On Colts so you get all the latest episodes. And if you don't already, make sure you're following at Locked On Colts, at Jake Arthur and at Zach Hicks 2, all on socials. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you with Locked On Colts ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedoncolts.supercast.com to join the club. And for those of you on video, we're going to send you over to the first ever 24/7 National NBA YouTube channel and audio. Make sure you check out the Locked On NFL podcast. I want to thank you guys all, and we'll see you guys back here again tomorrow afternoon.